Every single day, more than 200,000 people travel by train beneath the Hudson River, never realizing they're depending on a pair of tunnels built before the Titanic even left the dock. They were marvels of engineering in 1910, but today, they're crumbling relics, scarred by time and salt water, patched together night after night just to survive another rush hour. The terrifying truth is this: if just one of those tubes fails, the busiest passenger rail corridor in America could grind to a halt. Millions stranded, billions lost. The economy of the entire Northeast Corridor paralyzed in an instant. For decades, officials have warned about the vulnerability. Then in 2012, Superstorm Sandy exposed just how fragile the system really is. Seawater surged into the North River Tunnel, flooding its electrical systems, corroding its steel, and leaving behind damage that crews have been battling ever since. The tunnel still functions, but only barely. Every night, workers scramble inside to patch cracks, replace decayed cables, and keep the old bones alive. But the repairs are bandages, not cures. Everyone knows the clock is ticking. This crisis isn't new. Back in the early 2000s, there was a plan to replace the tunnels with a project called Access to the Region's Core. Billions were invested, construction began, and for a moment, it looked like commuters would finally get the modern infrastructure they deserved. But in 2010, the project was abruptly canceled over cost concerns and politics. What could have been a lifeline vanished overnight, leaving the region trapped with a century-old tunnel system and no backup plan. Out of that failure came something bigger: the Gateway program. Unlike its predecessor, Gateway was designed to be massive. Not just new tunnels, but a transformation of the entire Northeast Corridor. At the center of it sits the Hudson Tunnel Project, a plan to build 2 brand new, state-of-the-art tubes beneath the Hudson River, then shut down the old tunnels one at a time for complete rehabilitation. For the first time, the system would finally double in capacity, moving from 2 tracks to 4. The promise is simple, but historic. Fewer delays, more trains, and resilience against disaster. The engineering challenge is enormous. It starts in North Bergen, New Jersey, where giant shafts are being excavated to launch the tunnel boring machines. First, they must chew through the solid rock of the Palisades, a mile-long wall of stone that guards the river. Then, they'll dive beneath the Hudson itself, where unstable soil and crushing water pressure make the job treacherous. To survive, the machines use a technique called pressurized shield tunneling, holding back the river as they grind forward, ring by ring. Each section of tunnel is reinforced with precast concrete linings, forming a watertight shell that can last for generations. As the machines inch toward Manhattan, they'll link into a structure already waiting underground: the Hudson Yards Tunnel Box. Built years ago, it's an 800-foot-long concrete passage hidden beneath one of New York's densest developments. Without that foresight, carving a path through the city's packed foundations might have been impossible. If tunneling beneath Manhattan is an engineering nightmare, the politics have been worse. For years, the Hudson Tunnel project was stalled under the Trump administration, caught in fights over who should pay for it. New York and New Jersey argued the federal government should cover more. Washington pushed back. The result was gridlock, and every delay made the tunnels weaker. It wasn't until 2021, under the Biden administration, that Gateway was revived as a federal priority. By 2023, the project finally secured a record-breaking $6.88 billion federal grant, the largest transit award in U.S. history. The rest of the money comes from Amtrak, New Jersey, New York, and the Port Authority. In total, the price tag now sits at around $16 billion. That cost has sparked criticism. Abroad, countries like Japan and France build similar rail tunnels for far less. To some, the Hudson Tunnel project is proof that America's infrastructure system is bloated with red tape, lawsuits, and inefficiency. To others, it's a necessary investment, one that's been delayed too long already. Even with funding secured, the risks are huge. Manhattan's ground is unpredictable, filled with old utilities, subway lines, and fragile foundations. Any mistake could trigger catastrophic delays. At the same time, trains must keep running through Penn Station. The schedule is so tight that even a small slip could ripple across the entire corridor. Add in environmental concerns, lawsuits, and labor complexities, and the project faces hurdles at every turn. For all the risk, the cost of failure is worse. If the old tunnel collapses, half the trains stop overnight. The ripple effects would slam Washington, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. Commuters would flood highways and airports. The Northeast economy would bleed billions. For a country already struggling with outdated infrastructure, the collapse of its busiest passenger rail link would be catastrophic. The Hudson Tunnel project, on the other hand, promises real transformation. It will create more than 90,000 jobs, pump nearly $20 billion into the economy, and deliver trains that actually run on time. It supports climate goals by shifting more travelers to rail, cutting highway traffic and plane emissions. And most importantly, it lays the foundation for something America has long dreamed of but never delivered: true high-speed rail along the Northeast Corridor. In the end, this project is about more than tunnels. It's a test of whether the United States can still build the infrastructure it desperately needs. For decades, America has been accused of letting its bridges, airports, and railroads rot, while other nations charge ahead. The Hudson Tunnel project is a chance to prove otherwise. Construction is finally underway. By 2035, the new tunnels are expected to open. By 2038, the old ones should be fully restored. If all goes as planned, commuters will no longer be riding through relics of the Titanic-Era, but through a system built for the future. But that's a big if. The next decade will decide whether the Hudson Tunnel becomes a triumph of modern engineering or another American megaproject sunk by politics and delay. Until then, millions of commuters continue riding through those century-old tubes every day, hoping they hold together just a little longer. So what do you think? Is this finally the turning point for American infrastructure, or just another promise on a long list of failures? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the world's most ambitious megaprojects.